Hello and welcome to episode 85 of FPL Apprentice, slowly getting to a century of episodes. I'm your host, Dave Saunders, FPL Apprentice, the man with the questions. And who's the man with the answers? Well, it's former world number one, the master, Mr. Matthew Corbridge. Matt, hello again. Appreciate this is the second episode we've recorded tonight, but nice to see you.
Hello, and we might be doing slow tactics to get to our century of episodes, right? What was one is now 3 episodes, so
It gets us there quicker.
Any means possible, innit? Any means possible. But good to be back, mate. Again, we've recording this on Monday, ahead of the game week 1 deadline on Friday. So yeah, both super excited. We shared our initial drafts, didn't we, last week? I think. It's fair to say I haven't seen your team. You've obviously seen mine. I think it's different, but a lot of similar players, and a lot of the players we were saying were kind of on our kind of wish list. So it's slowly getting there. Last episode 84, we spoke about chip strategy. So I think this is somewhat influencing our moves. But I'm excited to see what you've got, mate. And I'm ready for the grilling.
I've got a few questions for you, mate. Let's just dive straight in, shall we? Dive straight in. Just make sure I write that timestamp. Dive straight into a game week 1 draft update. So yeah, as you say, Monday, 4 days to go until game week 1 kicks off, and this is our most recent draft. So you mentioned before we jumped on, mate. You're pretty much there. Is that still the case? Who you're playing with? Yeah, talk us through it. Your team's on the screen.
Yeah, I think where it's at, and context here. I think subject to lots of changes, but I think structure, I'm quite happy with it. Last episode we spoke about chip strategy, which influenced this. I'm considering game week 2 bench boost or bench boost in game week 12, or the final couple of game weeks in kind of the first half. Looking to wildcard broadly game week 13. I'd love to kind of target that as a game week, and free hit maybe 6, right? So I think this kind of informs a lot of kind of pieces. But yeah, my team, I'll get straight into it. Goalkeepers Sanchez and Dubravka. I'm really happy with that. Dubravka, I think, is presumably starting 4.0, and I think he's played 150 Premier League appearances, right? So he's too good to go to Burnley and not be their starting keeper. And they need a good keeper like Trafford, who's obviously gone to Man City, was excellent in the Championship and was actually their defense was a bit overrated, to be honest. Trafford was doing he was saving a lot of kind of shots, right? They massively overperformed. So yeah, Dubravka, he might be a bit of a shot kind of magnet. Presumably he'll be starting game week 1, if not game week 2. So that 4.0 start there is a bit of a gift, right? Sanchez, I like Chelsea's medium-term fixtures, probably to get game week 10, 11. They're okay. So Sanchez is almost a bit of a set him for forget. And actually, coincidentally, Dubravka's nice fixtures, the rare ones where you would play him, rotate really nice. So I think that's a gift. And Dubravka come in. Previously, we did various 4.5 million rotations. I think Sanchez set him for that, forgetting Dubravka, 2 or 3 game weeks coming in. Makes sense. I'm pretty much locked on that. So I'm really happy with my keepers. Next up, I'll kind of keep going. Defense. I've gone pretty big. So I've gone Steve is my 4.0 again. He's a very good defender, by the way. And I think if the stats translate from the Championship to the Premier League, he'll be a bit of a DEFCON beast, which is really good. But I don't need him to do too much. He's going to be on my bench mostly, right? So 4.0 starting kind of defender, he's very good as well. I know you don't see Championship as much as me being a Bristol City fan, but he's very good. I think equally he could have been rode on from Leeds, but I think I kind of like the double Burnley gives me more opportunities to bench boost them together when there's a nice game week, right? And I think there's slightly nicer things. But Rodon is another example from Leeds that you could have there. Structure is nice having that cheap bench, I think. Then I've got Murillo from Nottingham Forest, Van Dijk from Liverpool, Anderson from Fulham, and Pedro Porro from Spurs. So probably, I spoke about the power of DEFCON last week, right? So, no surprise here that it's quite DEFCON heavy. Nottingham Forest has probably got up there with the best fixtures, it's about game week 7 or so. So Murillo, Yeah, I think nice run with some defensive potential. He is an absolute monster with the def con, right? So I'm kind of really happy with him. Equally, if I wanted to save some money, he could be converted to Nico Williams, right? Who does not quite as good, but does appear okay as a fullback for def con. However, I think that there's rumors of them looking for other players, and like Murillo is a very good centre back. He's going to be nailed. Williams, especially when Europe comes around, like Forest will be in the Europa League. That's been announced today, rather than the Conference League. But I think there could be rotation for Williams. Murillo will be a mainstay for the whole time. So I'm really happy with Murillo. But if I want to free some money up and still want to target Forest, Williams is an option. Then I've got Van Dijk. I'm not going to be swayed too much by pre-seeders and obviously the Community Shield, which happened yesterday. Liverpool were quite poor, and Van Dijk himself was quite poor. Yeah, I've got to hope that they're not going to just structurally kind of like become super open because of Frimpong. Like, I mean, Trent wasn't much of a different a defense. He was a bit of a liability, to be fair. Defensively, they still got Allison. Yeah, Van Dijk. He's just going to play every single game, every single minute. He's a set piece threat, and yeah, DefCon. He stood unique amongst premium defenders for premium teams that he got DefCon around over a third of time. So I think it was like 35% to 40% hit rate, which is like really high, a lot higher. So yeah, and I think Liverpool's fixtures are nice, right? Game week 2, game week 3, not so much, but Newcastle, I don't think it's a great game week 2 is not a great fixture, but game week 4, 5, yeah, 6, 7, like really nice run. So yeah, I like him, and it's a bit of a cash cow that I can move to others. Anderson is great. Like, I think he was in my squad last week when we shared it. He's 4.5, right, for a very good Fulham defense. Fulham were expected goals conceded, so the underlying stats, the 6th best team in the Premier League, right? They underperformed, but they were unlucky, right? Anderson himself was a bit unlucky to not get more attacking returns. So I think that's a bit of a gift, right? He's really good with DEFCON as well. So yeah, I'm kind of really happy, and there's a nice rotation. Porro is a bit more of a random one, right? So I became he wasn't in my team before. So I'm making the assumption that Spurs are going to be a lot more defensively sound under Thomas Frank, right? I think that's a bit of a given, right? And then they're going to have a European Super Cup as well before like game week 1 as well. So that'd be interesting to see how they line out. When it became really interesting was when Maddison got injured and out for the season, right? So Porro is a lot better when he's whipping in free kicks and corners, right? So my assumption here is that Maddison would dominate them when he's fit and playing. Porro will get more than his fair share when he's not, right? So I think it was that bet. And yeah, Porro could be Munoz, right, from Palace, but their nice run really does start game week 4. So he's a nice placeholder for Palace defense. I really like Lacroix from Palace as well, an absolute DEFCON monster and decent attacking threat from corners. I could start with those guys, but Porro has a beautiful game week 1 fixture, right? So it might be booking in a future transfer. If I want a bench boost in game week 2, I'd certainly be moving Porro to a Palace defender. But I could just sit on him until game week 4 and see what happens, right? I think that Burnley fixture, Burnley are a weak team. Like, all their best players are gone. Trafford and Brownhill are gone. It's a very weak looking team. I think Spurs could hammer them. And Porro's a good player.
Hopefully,
if you look
Porro's
at
involved.
it might be a short term piece, but like, yeah, I can see the appeal there. And then into my midfield, Salah, Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, Tielemans, and Anderson. Right, so Salah. He wasn't amazing the second half of last season, right? Compared to the standards that he put up the first half. However, his underlying stats were still really good, right? They were like really, really high, and like there was no sign of a massive decline. Obviously, the potential negative is like all the changes with Liverpool, but you would think actually they're for the good. I think if you look player for player that's come in, it looks like their attacking team is at least better. I would say with certainly with Wirtz, right? So yeah, it could work in his favour. Bournemouth, I think he's the best captain by far game week 1. Like Bournemouth, like that defense, like it's been gutted. 2 centre backs, keeper, right back is looking quite. I know it's like systems that teams play, but Bournemouth could get hammered, right? So I'm happy with kind of like Salah there, and I think game week 2, game week 3, game week 4, game week 5, game week 7. I think he's like the best captain option. So I think he's got more favourable weeks to be captain over Haaland, right? Then it's on to Palmer. Palmer's been a bit of a near lock in my team. I think he rotates nicely for captaincy with Salah. I think again, like last season, like tailed off second half of the season, but had still really great underlying stats, right? And has done well in pre-season if you count in the Club World Cup as well. So yeah, I think he's the best option to go into the Chelsea team, whereas like around him is a bit of unknown. Like Palmer, you know what you're getting. Obviously, we'll see where he plays, whether it's number 10 or on the right wing, right, cutting in, like. But because I think it's Esteve, right, for kind of who they just brought in, looks like incredible, right? So we'll see they start rotating, but I think he's got a lot of minutes, like dominating set pieces for a good team. So like and Palmer was really good when Jackson was playing, right? So the strikers he's with now are probably a level or 2 above Jackson. So I like Palmer, and like as I said with Sanchez, nice run for Chelsea over the medium term. He's a cash cow as well. I think you want accessible, you want to be able to move from price points to other players if they start kicking off, right? It's easier to move down from players, right? So Palmer can become a Saka. He can come a Wirtz very easily. It's very difficult to go in the opposite direction. Let's talk about Bruno Fernandes next. So I think it's a mixed run, but there are some prime fixtures, right, where he could be a captaincy option, right? So for Fernandes, it's a combination of guaranteed minutes, guaranteed every single set piece. Maybe Mbuma will take some of the like free kicks, corners, like from like the left or the right, vice versa. But Fernandes will dominate set pieces. His DEFCON was incredible, really, really strong, right? So his I think the last pre-season game, that's an analysis that I saw next, but he got 1 assist. That was it. He would have come out with that with 10 points because of DEFCON. Like before you
Do you
even
think
get
he'll get more DEFCON? Because I'm assuming he's going to be playing further back, right? So now that they've got Cunha,
it kind of worked.
Mbeumo, and Sesko.
Yeah, I think so, and I think he's not going to play. He's not going to play deep all the time, right? He can move. He can move into the 10 or the attacking positions. He might when people get substituted as well, right? You could see, I don't know, Casemiro or Mount or someone like that coming on, and then Fernandes then moving up. So he's a very solid known thing, right? And performed very reliably last year. So it was the DEFCON stats that brought him in, and there was some like game week 3, for example, he becomes a captaincy option where I think there's not a real clear captain elsewhere. So yeah, I think and it works nicely with the free hit 6 strategy as well. So yeah, probably more expensive than I wanted, but a very known thing. And I think probably Manchester United, I want to say they're going to be an improving team, right? I think sometimes the issue last year was he was surrounded by bad players, creating incredible chance creation wherever he was deep. Bear in mind, he was playing deep a lot last year or forward. He's now got a very nice front 3. Yeah. A weird one, right? Very nice.
Do you get put up right in their first 5 games? They play Arsenal, City, and Chelsea. Does that not put you off?
You'll get DEFCON, man.
Yeah, and they'll be defending a lot more in those games.
Yeah, it's like obviously these players like that. It sounds a bit like flippant, but that is a way to think about it, right? He can get returns any single game, and those bad fixtures, he's got good. I'd say he's got a 50-50 chance to get 2 extra points.
And then he scores against those teams.
He's not incapable.
He's put plenty past Liverpool.
No, exactly.
He's scored enough against Liverpool for me to know.
Exactly. And then Anderson, I think, has been in most of my drafts, right? And that was again cheap DEFCON monster. You see a trend here, but like I do think it's quite a powerful play that I want to play around with the first half of the season. So Anderson will play every game. Forrest got the nice run, right, and he'll play 80+ minutes. He does have a bit of assist potential, and I think may
Takes
be a bit
corners.
more. Pun? Yeah, he's on corner
He
as
takes
well.
corners.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
obviously,
so it makes
what's his
absolute
name?
sense.
What's his name's gone to Newcastle, right? He was on some set
Alenga.
pieces.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so Anderson he's got set pieces. He's got an assist in him. He's going to churn around with quite a good hit rate with those DEFCON with a nice fixture run. So for 5.5, I'll talk about alternatives in a second when I finish my team. But like there's some alternatives there. But Anderson is the safe and steady, and in a similar way, Tielemans, right? So Villa are another team. I think Villa and Forest have and Everton have the nicest early season runs, in my opinion. Tielemans will play every game, near enough 90 minutes. You'd think and expect. He's got a bit of attacking threat, right? Consistently gets kind of points in kind of like in FPL, and he has a really good hit rate, kind of DEFCON. Probably come with Tielemans out of form of like when it comes down to it. Do I think he'll be on Pens or Watkins? Right, I think those will be the two, right? That will be on it. Like if I think Tielemans got a 50-50 chance, then it's like, hey, I'll take that risk. I'll be honest with the Tielemans one. That was one where I was looking at some of the predictive models, and he was like, I'd considered him a little bit, but then like because of the DEFCON stats, but he was coming like quite high, and it was like, oh, okay, that makes sense now that they're kind of putting that emphasis on it. I don't love both Anderson and Tielemans, right? So, but we'll talk about some of the alternatives now. I think they might be a more solid set for the get versus some of the alternatives. Then strikers, Watkins. I think other than Haaland, he's the best striker going in terms of like certainty, right? He's had 3-4 great seasons in fantasy football, like very, very kind of like reliable. Plays for a good team, quite a settled team, and you'd think it would play every game. Good chance he'll be on penalties. He's coming in with some good form and good fixtures, right? So
got some stats for you there, pal. So the last two penalty takers for Villa were Asensio and Rashford, right? But they're both left. Prior to them joining the club, the last 3 penalties were taken by Ollie Watkins, and he scored 2 of them.
yeah, it's
So you've
more
got to
close. I
think
think
he's
Emery
probably going
said
to
in
take.
terms of who's the penalty takers, and like Tielemans and Watkins are always mentioned. So I think it'll probably be kind of Watkins, but yeah, I like Watkins as well structurally as well. Right? I like having alternative would be having more money upgrading Tielemans to Averts. I don't know, Marmouche maybe. I don't know. They come with their pros and cons, right? But a more premium midfielder and having a cheaper striker. However, I think structurally I like this because it's kind of quite accessible to Gyökeres if kind of he kicks off, kind of like, for example, a Sesko, right? So it's kind of like structurally I prefer the shape of my team and where my funds are kind of spent here. So yeah, Watkins, Strand Larson, he's currently on my bench, but I could start him over Anderson, to be fair, kind of game week 1. Like Strand Larson, I think is kind of fine. He's got a nice run game week 2 onwards, so I'm not going to be too put off by bad game week 1. And then I've got Mark. What do we say? Gooey, yeah. Gooey, yeah, Gooey. So
Something like that.
structure that just kind of works. So I think like because of DEFCON and like strength in other positions, I'm not seeing too much value in strikers, right? So Mark Gooey kind of like is a negative if you're playing game week 2 bench boost because he probably won't start, but structurally it kind of made sense having just this like bench waster who may work his way into the Sunderland squad, and when he does, then I'll consider bench boosting. But structurally allows my team to be a lot far better and far superior. I think same with Steve. Steve, I can kind of like bench almost perma bench, and then it's like really thinking about who plays. Is it Strand Larson? Is it Anderson? Is it Tielemans? Or is it Anderson or Pollard? Like those are nice players, right? You kind of pick pick 2 from them, or 3 from them. That's a nice problem to have. So that's my structure. I guess the other the alternatives I was thinking. I've mentioned one. Watkins goes down to a Mateta or a Solanke, or Evan Nielsen, and then I upgrade Tielemans or Anderson to Wirtz, right? That feels very heavy midfield, right? And gives me, I think, I see even if I could get a Saka, that. I think it's a bit too far of a push there to kind of like accommodate Saka. But you can see I can invest more in my midfield.
Yeah.
I could like try and get a more balanced forward line, right? To kind of like better have a working squad to bench boost in game week 2. So Watkins could become again Solanke, Evan Nielsen, Mateta. Strand Larson can be Strand Larson, or I can move him to Thiago in Brentford. Been nervous there because he started every. Visser is still at the club, of course.
Yeah.
And push comes to shove, is still will be their best player now, right? And like Thiago, I've never seen the guy play, right? So it should always be a bit. If things are coming up on models and like pre-season form and stuff like that, and you don't even know who the player is, like it should be a bit of a red flag there. But yeah, kind of Thiago's there. Who else is there really? There's not a lot of options. I would love,
Betu,
but they're not options, right? So yeah, you could wait if they were options. Like I don't know who's going to start. And the same Muniz was rumored to go to Leeds. He's still at kind of Fulham, but then who starts at Fulham? Is it Jimenez or Muniz? It's tough. It's tough. So like, there's not a huge amount of vibe. But I could spread my funds to a more balanced. I could get Watkins becomes Solanke, Strand Larson can stay the same. Margui becomes Thiago. That's an option.
Yeah.
And then like I think I like Palmer, Fernandez, Salah. I think I'm keeping them. Tielemans, Anderson, I could do a flavour of changing these guys around, right? So there's a few viable options, right? So Reindeer is an interesting option in Man City. Obviously comes with a disclaimer, right? Will he play? Where's he going to play, etc. But Rodri's out, so you think he should get minutes, but it's a bit risky. But like should have more attacking threat if he plays that Gundogan eight role from deep. So he's intriguing. Very different. Maybe Tielemans and Anderson are the boring option. So maybe having one fun option opens things up there. You go Xhaka.
I've got one. I've got a
Xhaka
fun
is
one.
interesting.
You'll see on the next screen, mate.
Yeah, I think Xhaka is interesting. I think he'll be on probably most set pieces for Sunderland, but they're a very weak team. But he's 5 million. Ndiaye was in my previous draft, right? I don't know if I like him more than these players, though, to be honest. But yeah, presumably he's on penalty. So there's players in and around those price points that I can play around with. Any combination of two players, and then defense. Yeah, I could start with Lacroix or kind of like or Munoz, but like yeah, I think that the kind of defense is I kind of like this shape and structure. So yeah, Pedro Porro could be a Palace defender. Murillo could be Nico Williams. Van Dijk could become Tarkowski if I want to go DEFCON. But like I think structurally it's not going to be too far off.
Yeah. Couple of questions. Some of them you've answered. I had some questions that there's no point in asking because you answered them, which is great. Talk about NDI. Is he going to be on pens? The news has been broke today that Grealish is about to join Everton. Do you see Grealish as an option?
Not really until by the time he's an option, Everton aren't going to be viable because of the fixtures, right? So he's not going to come straight in and start taking penalties. But yeah, it seems like they got Everton. Like what's put me off? It seems like they got slowly just got a bit of depth in attacking positions, right? So they've got who they got as forwards. They got Beto and Barry. Presumably, yeah, Barry comes with a good reputation, so presumably he'd be. But I don't think he'd be starting. So that makes that a non-starter, and Barry could be on penalties. Who knows? Like, do you know what I mean? As the centre forward. You've got Dewsbury Hall has now come across, and like everyone was losing their mind at Dewsbury Hall. I like him as a player. I'll add that, but yeah, he's intriguing if he starts like kind of regularly, but that's not guaranteed. You've got Ndiaye, you've got McNeil, you've got where's you got Alcaraz. Yeah, they got like slowly just built a bit of depth there, which is interesting, but not really helpful from a FPL point of view.
No guaranteed minutes.
And like Ndiaye was, you got to be. I presume he'd be playing and kind of have most of the minutes, but like Everton weren't a great attack, were they? Even under Moyes, they weren't great. And like these sort of teams, you can't expect a penalty every third game week. So I think that's what put me off a little bit, just the slight premium that he has. But yeah, he could come back to the squad like very soon.
Second question. You mentioned about Porro, right? I've got it on good authority from my Tottenham supporting friend that apparently Kudus has been taking all their corners pre-season, and that's been even when Madison's been on the pitch. By the way,
Yeah.
does that kind of limit Porro because it probably sounds like he won't be a corner taker?
Potentially. I mean, like I always cautious when like fans of clubs offer offer an opinion. I haven't seen it myself, so yeah. Obviously, if he doesn't take any set pieces, it does limit his his.
He'll take free kicks still. He'll get the
Yeah,
free kicks,
yeah,
I think.
exactly. And like, what's not changing is he's got Burnley at home game week 1, and he's got Bournemouth game week 3. Right, there's some nice. If you got some rotation, there's some very nice fixtures for them. Yeah, game week 3 is nice. They're up and down fixtures, but like game week 6 is a beauty. Game week 4 is nice. Game week 5, who they playing? It's not a bad run.
Yeah. No, I don't hate Tottenham at all. Don't hate them. We've touched on Bruno. You covered that off very nicely. You've also touched off Guiu. The only other one I had, and you kind of touched on it already, Salah versus Haaland. Most people are going for Salah. Why are you going for Salah?
Game week 1 captaincy, I think he's the better option. Just because, like, yeah, Bournemouth's defense is decimated, right? It's got a load of random people right now, and then I just think that Liverpool's fixture run is a little bit better for 7 or so game weeks, and then the weeks where Salah has weaker fixtures, I think he can be covered by other people in terms of captaincy. So game week 2 would be an example, right? Man City against Spurs is better than Liverpool against Newcastle away, right? Actually, I think that could be interesting. We'll see how Newcastle turn up. They haven't had a good summer, right? But
they'll be after Liverpool, pal. All that Isaac news, they will be right on Liverpool.
But they're good. They're good at home. They're good at home anyway. Ignoring like all that stuff, they're good. They're good at home. So Haaland's better, but then Palmer is a viable option, right? He's away to West Ham, so I mean that's fine. And then game week 3, when Liverpool play Arsenal, Bruno Fernandes is home to Burnley, right? Man City away for Brighton, which is fine, but they're a solid team. Chelsea's home to Fulham, right? Okay, so there's an alternative there. Then Liverpool away to Burnley, he's clearly the best option, right? Game week 5, home to Everton, Salah's clearly the best option. Game week 6, I mentioned in our previous video. Yeah, you kind of want you would want Haaland for that Burnley fixture. Then it's game week 7. I think then that's an interesting. Yeah, I'd give that to Haaland in terms of captain option, but I might have Saka or Gyökeres by then. So yeah, it was just there was a certain like Palmer covered Salah's weaker weeks better in my opinion. Just when I was looking at the captaincy matrix,
Yeah, get you. And the premiums are all about the captaincies. Don't think I had any other questions, pal. You covered them off very nicely. Like the structure, like the team.
Who would you change?
Yeah. Who would have changed? I'm not a fan of Guiu on the bench, but that's just personal opinion. I like a playing bench. I'm not convinced he will. Porro seems expensive for 5.5 if he's not going to be on any of the set pieces. But again, you'll have to watch on Wednesday, see how they get on in the Super Cup, see what he does in the Super Cup in terms of that standpoint. If he doesn't take any of them, including the free kicks, he's probably a sell, right? Other than that, I don't hate it, man.
I think I'd give him. I like him. I like game week 1 and game week 2 for Spurs, right? So I think if I was bench boosting game week 2, it sounds a bit excessive, but I'd just transfer him to a Palace defender. If not, I'll play him game week 1. Steve will come on. Whatever, like you know what I mean. You'll come on for game week 2, and then Porro plays game week 3. another nice fixture, I think, in my opinion, for Spurs. And then, he gets moved on to Lacroix in game week 4 for Palace's nice run.
Don't hate it. And we'll try and get another something else, whether it just be posted on Twitter about your final squad on Friday. Might not be a video, depends on what time we've got, but we'll try and get something together. But from the sounds of it, mate, it ain't going to be far off this.
Yeah, I do like the structure. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go Wirtz. I think I'll stay with Watkins. I prefer that structure, unless I could squeeze Tielemans to Saka, which is going to be very difficult, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want two non-playing strikers, right? So, I could downgrade Van Dijk, could downgrade Murillo, right? I could downgrade Porro, right, to kind of find money to get Saka into that team. He looked very good, in kind of recent preseason games. But it's really around the edges. Do I bring in a good midfielder for Tielemans, and then the blend of cheaper midfielders and cheaper strikers? Really, that's kind of where I'm at. I do like Anderson and Tielemans, but it could be Reindeers. It could be Sarr is probably the best cheaper midfielder in my opinion. It'd be nice if I could get to 6.5. He's nice. Ndiaye is still there. Could go down, So I think it's just playing around the edges. I quite like this structure, and it gives me a viable option for bench boost game week 2. I would have to assume Gui's not going to play, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Given that my other bench plays would be Anderson, Dubravka, Virgil van Dijk.
Not a bad bench option, Virgil.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. I like it. I like it, man. And we'll touch on mine. I think there's a few differences. I'll just touch on the ones that probably jump out, right? Because my keepers are exactly the same as you, right? I think Sanchez has got good fixtures up till game week 13. And the ones where he does have maybe a bit of a questionable, so away at Forest as an example, Dubravka's got Leeds at home. So they trade very nicely. That's probably all I need to say there. Defense, I've got the two very best for DEFCON, Tarkowski and Murillo. They'd have been the top 2 scorers in the league last season if DEFCON existed, and Everton and Forest have some very, very nice fixtures. My third defender is probably Lacroix. I'm putting him on the bench for game week 1 because he's away at Chelsea. But again, from a Palace point of view, he was head and shoulders. Wouldn't have finished that far behind Munoz for points totals last season if DEFCON existed, and he's £0.5 million cheaper. So just allows me to do a little bit extra with the budget. He also rotates very nicely with Tottenham, which is why I've got Van der Ven in, £4.5 million option there. Not overly keen on him. It's him or Udogie. Could quite easily go to Udogie. I'm just thinking Van der Ven's got a bit of something in the air from a corner. But I'll be honest, I don't like either. Tell you somebody that I am looking at. Steve's the other one, right? Because he's 4 million. He'll play. He's on the bench. The other one that I really like for 4.5 million. I know their defense has been depleted, mate, right? But Bournemouth have very reasonable fixtures game week 2 to 10. Shruffert, who's just come in to replace Kerkez, is 4.5 million. And the amount of crosses he's been putting in pre-season is obscene. He's also got 2 goals. I think he could be quite a nice option. So I might end up bringing him in for Van der Ven. Bournemouth then trade quite nicely with Sunderland and Wolves, so I could get a 4.4 million starting defender for Sunderland instead of a Steve. And then look at who's good for Wolves for DEFCON. But that might be a route. I don't know. I'll play around with it. I'm not overly keen on Van der Ven.
Nice, but
anything on that before I go to midfield?
Set on your keepers, and then you're set on Tarkowski, Murillo, and Lacroix.
Lacroix might go, but the other two, Tarkowski, Murillo, and the keepers. I'll be very surprised if I change them. And then want to play around with the last 3 defenders and see who rotates nicely as that third pick each game week. That's where I'll be. Midfield, I'm not happy with a lot of it, mate. So Palmer set and forget, right? great fixtures on pens, on free kicks, yada yada yada. You spoke all about him. He's a great option. And then one at Bournemouth attacker, but it's who? As I said before, they've got really good fixtures game weeks 2 to 10. I'll have one of their attackers. Could be Semenyo, who I've got on the bench here. Could be Evan Nielsen. It's likely he'll probably take pens whilst Kluivert is injured, and it sounds as though that injury is a little bit longer than expected. So I could end up bringing in Evan Nielsen up top, but I want a Bournemouth attacker one way or another. The rest, mate, I'm not particularly happy with. NDIE, he's purely there for the fixtures and the fact he's on pens, but Everton just don't seem to score goals. Pre-season they've struggled. Last season they struggled, so I think I might go elsewhere. Kudus is an option. If he's taken the corners at Tottenham, they've got some nice fixtures. He's probably more attacking, so he could be a move. Gibbs White, man, I text you about him saying I'm ready to be hurt again, but I don't think I am. His fixtures are nice. Wood's on the penalties, Anderson's on the corners, so he's not really getting any set pieces. So for £7.5 million, I think I can do better. So I'll be very surprised if he remains. The only one that might remain is a Dingra, right? I'm eyeing up a Dingra and Anderson because they're the two at 5.5 I've spotted and thought, okay, they're really good. Expected goal involvement for the two last season. A Dingra 5.2, Anderson 5.55. But
Wow.
Adingra played 2.5 times less minutes. So if you kind of balance that out and say it's similar stats this season, I'm expecting Adingra to get about 15 returns. Granted, he was at Brighton last season, not Sunderland, okay. But about
I'm
15
not sure you
returns.
can extrapolate that because one,
Yeah,
he's
when you
not going
move
to play
into
as much.
Sunderland.
He's not going to play as much as centre mid, and he's not coming on as a sub against tired defenses playing for Brighton. So I don't think that's
Totally. I just want it. This is my fun one. This is the guy I'm looking at and going, Sunderland have some nice fixtures off the bat. He's scoring pre-season. He's got an attacking threat in him compared to Anderson. Okay, he's not going to get the DEFCON like Anderson's going to get, but if he can pick up a few returns, I think he's quite a fun option that nobody else will have. So he's a nice fun differential. That's where I'm playing a
no.
Dringra.
I don't agree. He's a viable option. He's a viable option at 5.5 for sure. I mean, there's some nice options. Obviously, Anderson is boring. Reindeers is like somewhere in between, but like we don't know minutes. Adingra is nice. Dewsbury Hall could be nice at cheaper point, I think.
But yeah, Gibbs White to go. Yeah,
the guy's just joined. I don't know. I think what you were saying there, like, I don't really get the appeal there. I'm surprised there's not. I'm surprised you haven't got Wirtz or Saka in a because obviously you don't have Salah, which is the big thing here, which is kind of nice to see some kind of variety here. But I'm surprised you don't have like Wirtz or Salah or Marmoush.
So I don't need I'd only be getting Marmoush if I didn't have Haaland, right? In my head, the reason I'm going for Haaland over Salah, just to cover that off, better opening fixtures. Those first 3 game weeks, Liverpool played Newcastle away and Arsenal. Some of the hardest fixtures that you get. I also, again, and I appreciate I'm a Liverpool fan, so I've watched a lot of Liverpool pre-season. Salah's not the focal point. He hasn't been all pre-season. The guy has been struggling. He scored once. He's missed 2 penalties. In the Charity Shield yesterday, he had 1 shot on target, and that was when Ekatike got taken off the pitch. And Ekatike is going to start. So what Salah was doing last season, I just don't see, based on how we're set up now with these new 4 players we're trying to integrate, that he's going to carry on doing it. And considering that those fixtures in game week 2 and game week 3, and Haaland in pre-season got 4 goals and has got better fixtures in those first 3. That's why I'm starting with Haaland. I am quite happy to roll 3 transfers into game week 4 and then move to Salah then. That's probably where I'm sat. Bring him in if I need to. But I just don't want Liverpool until game week 4, mate. Any of them. Two tough fixtures, and I don't know how they're going to play. As I say, they're integrating 4 new starters into that team. So I want to see who's going to be the focal point. Is Ekatike getting the points? Is it still Salah? Is it Wirtz? Is it Gakpo from the left? Do they get Isaac? There's too many unknowns for me.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've got a few doubts on Van Dijk as well, but I think he rotated nicely with my other players and had a nice game week 1 as well. So I was a bit kind of blinded by that. But yeah, he could move to Tarkowski, which opens up some interesting options for me elsewhere in my team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gives you an extra 0.5 in the bank.
which is
Um,
opens a few things, right? That yeah.
yeah. And then the last two in my team, you've got, so I won't go into them too much. Strand Larson and Watkins. Watkins is as much of a lock in my team, although I haven't put him in my lock section there. He is as much of a lock in my team as anybody. The guy is in great form pre-season. Scored 4 goals, great opening fixtures. He's going to be a starter. I think he's going to be on pens. So he seems like a no-brainer to me. And then Strand Larsen's there because he's a cheap option. But again, could be on penalties. Wolves have some nice fixtures, bit of an enabler from a budget point of view. But he might end up becoming Evan Nielsen if I end up moving Semenyo onto somebody else. Um, but yeah, that's where I'm at. Hate Gibbs White. Hate him. Hate NDIE if I'm honest. I think those two will go. Adingra might keep his place. But yeah, Gibbs White, NDIE, Strand
Who
Larsen,
who
Semenyo,
who are the
and then a bit of a
options?
play around with the defence.
Yeah, who are the options?
Um,
Yeah, Gibbs White in the eye. So Gibbs White 7.5. Yeah,
yeah, so I
and
might end up doing something like Kudus could come in for NDIE if Tottenham fixtures and he's on corners. Don't mind that as a shout. Could end up saving some money in the defence if I end up keeping Tarkowski and Murillo, but then changing the last three. So I have two 4.5 defenders instead of Lacroix, which might get me up to an 8 million from Gibbs White. So that could then make him, a Cunha or an Mbumo. I don't like those two picks if I'm honest. I'd like to get myself to a Bruno Fernandes if I'm bringing in a United player. But that's an option. I could, mate. What's something that could be interesting here, right? Is I could keep a Dingra. I could drop NDIE to Anderson from Forest, and that would allow me to move Gibbs White to Bruno Fernandes.
yeah.
That's not a
I
bad.
mean, just makes
That's
your
not a
team.
bad move.
Yeah, that probably feels more solid all in for sure. But it does draw yourself closer to my team, which it'll be good to have.
Yeah, a bit,
Um,
a bit of difference. It
so
also means
what?
I'm with two £5.5 million midfielders, which I'm not overly happy with.
Yeah, like that makes the structure a bit tighter for sure. What tools and information did you use to like form this squad then? Like obviously, yeah,
Yeah.
don't go into all the detail, but like what
No,
was like the
no,
thought
no, no.
process?
So I'm going to shout some people out because there is two people in particular that I've took a lot of information off. They put some stuff on Twitter, um, looking at the new DEFCON details, right? So focusing on the defense, focusing on the midfield, and I'll just find the links so people can go
You've
and
you've
have a
got
look
no you've got no
themselves.
DefCon midfielders though.
You've got a couple. I'll tell you them in a second. Well, not yes, I haven't.
uh, India does a
Anderson
little
will
bit,
come in.
but not enough.
Yeah.
so,
So
so,
FPL Fraser, the defense guy.
yeah,
So he's got a really nice post all about working out who's got the most likely defenders to play 90 minutes, who's most likely to get DEFCON points, but also compares it to their attack and threat. So I built the defense around him. I found teams I like the fixtures of, and then utilized what he's put together to think, right, and who's the most likely to get DEFCON points and attack and returns from those teams. Hence why I've got Tarkowski and Murillo, not Branthwaite or Malenko
yeah.
or Nico Williams. So and same with Lacroix instead of Munoz. Midfield, slightly less. And DIE's got some nice options from a DEFCON point of view. I don't know why I've got Gibbs White there, mate. I genuinely don't. I think he's gonna. I think even Gibbs White's £2 million more than Anderson, and I think Anderson is the better pick because he's got DEFCON options, one of the best in the midfielders in the game for DEFCON options, and he's on corners.
Well, like if you bring him in or anyone, like then that Strand Larsen becomes Solanke or Mateta, right? You can see whatever Nielsen, like you can see straight away. Um,
Yeah, the difference it makes. Or
uh,
do that. I could. So it could be Gibbs White. Yeah, no, I'll work it out. But that's what I've used for my defense primarily. The midfield one, I've just looked at fixtures and thought, right, who can get some goals? I've gone attacking. More so than you have, I guess. Yeah, I appreciate you've looked at the DEFCON for the midfielders a bit more than I have.
Who's getting goals? Palmer.
There's my goals. Palmer, Adigra, I hope. Semenyo, I hope.
No. Oh yeah.
And then I
get
worked
it.
I worked on set piece takers, but Semenyo doesn't take them. So he's probably going to leave my squad. And I don't like Everton as much from an attacking point of view.
Yeah.
Don't think NDIE,
I
especially
think,
Grealish.
that put me off in
Yeah.
the eye. He's slightly more expensive. You're banking on the penalty. They're not very attacking team, and like his underlying stats were like nothing.
Yeah. I think Grealish coming it makes him a worse pick. Maybe not in game week 1, 2, and 3, but I think eventually you're paying Grealish 250 grand a week. The guy's on your pens.
I reckon better.
I reckon he makes him a better option.
Yeah, I think I don't think they're going to play the same position. So I think Grealish will increase the creativity, create more room. Like Ndiaye is not a bad player.
Yeah, I just think he'll take him off penalties. I can't see Grealish not getting given the pens. It'll surprise me. I might be wrong. I just think that's where the pens will end up.
Oh, there we are. So we've got one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 out of 15 players the same.
7 locks. 7 locks. And they're probably them. I've got seven locks, right? Which are Sanchez, Tarkowski, Murillo, Palmer, Watkins, Haaland, and Dubravka.
Yeah, nice.
The rest of them are up in the air.
I like it. I like
it. People around. Especially Gibbs White. If it comes to Friday and he's still in my squad, I've clearly forgot to do it.
Yeah. No, I like it. I reckon you should post it on X, get some feedback. But
yeah, structure okay. Feel the structure's okay. Or have I spent too much up top?
That's just nature. You go Haaland over Salah, right? So I think it's fine.
Yeah,
like you got price point. I think the midfield is going to be tough to get good players in. So I'd be looking to somehow, as you're saying, with Gibbs White, upgrade Gibbs White, and then
shall be done.
It's cool. It's nice to see. It's nice to see a Salah less draft, and obviously you got quite strong convictions that Liverpool aren't going to be good. So it's good to see this.
I also feel like if I get Salah right, and this is something you're trying to teach me not to do. If I end up with Salah on Friday, I am doing it purely for fear of missing out and worry about my overall rank because of his expected ownership. It's the only reason I'll have Salah in my squad because I just don't see it until game week 4. So if I get him, it's because I bottled it, is what I'm trying to say to you.
No, I hear you. I'm looking at your squad. I'm just thinking of like who I would want that I don't have. So Tarkowski, I'm a bit jealous of, but I can access him from if I change Van Dijk, right, or get rid of Porro. Sound like you on my squad. You probably didn't like you wanted Bruno Fernandes, didn't you?
A little bit. Yeah. Don't mind. But Gibbs White could become Bruno Fernandes. Just need to find the 1.5 million from somewhere.
No, nice.
It's doable.
No, exciting, mate. Yeah, like let's see. Well, we haven't committed to it yet, but we might do a video on late on Wednesday or Thursday where we have our near final drafts. Yeah. But well, there'll be no point if they're the same. We'll just do a really super quick one and say no changes. And this is kind of why.
No change.
I imagine it sounds like you're going to do at least a few changes. I think.
Yeah, there'll be.
Maybe I'll play around with it. Mine's been quite static now for about a week. So.
Nice to get back at it.
Yeah, definitely.
Mix it up. But yeah, spot on, pal. Well, that brings us to the end. I'm trying to work out my maths. What am I on? There you go. This is for the listener, my timestamps, so that you can skip the chapters. So I just needed to get that noted, like I'm on the news. But thank you, Matt. Good to get your draft. Sounds as though you're more settled than I am from the sounds of it, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of a couple of kind of plays around the edges, but I'm kind of cool with structure, and I think it's becoming that. Even talking today, it's becoming more and more obvious that bench boost 2, I'm probably not going to jump on that. So yeah, that gives me some options and flex to play around with, like whoever my final defender pick is. Do I downgrade someone else in that defense, and then do I get a heavier midfield versus kind of Watkins? Yeah.
Nice options available. But yeah, it's we'll maybe catch up with you in the week if we make some changes, mate. We'll sort that out during the week. Otherwise, I wish you all the best when the Judgment Day comes on Friday. I'll be happy for it, mate. To be honest, because then it means I can stop messing around, changing my players around. But I wish you the best when it comes and for game week 1.
No, likewise, mate. I'm hoping the best for Dingra, Gibbs White, and what else you got?
Gibbs White won't be there. Gibbs White won't be there. Adingra, yes, I'll probably keep Adingra. We'll see. But thank you. Appreciate the appreciate the look. And to you, the listener, whatever you decide to do with your team, we might catch up with you later in the week. But if not, all the best for your game week 1. If this video has helped, please do give us a like, give us a subscribe. It does help us out. It's free as well, and it gives us that warm fuzzy feeling, Matt, doesn't it? It's nice. It's nice to get that done. So please do that. But whatever you do between now and Friday, I wish you all the best with your game week 1 picks, and we'll either catch you just before the deadline for our last video or when the results of game week 1 are in. Until then, all the very best.